Hey guys, welcome back to another video with Lim Reviews. In today's video, you can see quite a mess here on my desk, but the reason why I'm having this setup is because we can focus more on the center of my product that I'll be talking about today, and that is the Amazfit GTR Lite that I have already unboxed. Without further ado, let me just explain to you why I like the Amazfit GTR Lite. So obviously I've already unboxed the watch and it is currently on my wrist. So what you get in the box is obviously the most simplest of stuff. You do get your tiny little charger that works pretty well, and you also get a couple of manuals in the box. Let me just show it to you really quickly. So there you go, that's where the charger was supposed to sit, the manuals, and of course the watch. Alright, so now that we've got the unboxing out of the way, sorry for that unboxing, but the main thing we want to talk about here is the Amazfit GTR Lite and the reason why I'm actually wearing it on a daily basis right now. Alright, so quick intro. The difference between the GTR and the GTR Lite is mainly the price. So obviously the Lite is slightly missing a couple of features, and this comes at $30 cheaper. You can find the links to purchase down below. I've got this sponsored by GearBest. So just so you know, the GTR is going for $140 now on GearBest, and this Lite version is $110. So $30 cheaper, but what do you get missing from the main GTR? Alright, let me just unstrap this very quickly so I can bring it up close to the camera. So first up, you do get a change in materials. So the materials that is surrounding this watch right now, this is actually made out of aluminum compared to the stainless steel on the GTR. So the stainless steel actually is pretty shiny, and personally I actually like this version pretty well. I like the aluminums around here. It looks great and it definitely feels very smooth to the touch. Yep, I'm liking this feel on the GTR Lite. So that's the first difference between the Lite and the GTR. So what's the main difference that everyone is talking about? And that is the lack of a GPS module on this Lite version. So in other words, there is no GPS module here. If you bring this watch out and you want to track your steps or whatever, it will track your steps, but it will not track your location. So how do you track your location then? Let me just show you very quickly. Let's say I do hit outdoor running. It will still look for GPS and it will say, please open the app and turn on mobile's GPS. So what it means is that it will still be able to track your location if you have your phone beside you. So it's not the end of the world. You still are able to track your location if you have your smartphone with you. And if you're like me, I usually carry my phone everywhere I go. So this is not actually a big issue to me. Alright, so let me just tell you how I usually use my watch. For my watch, the settings is as such. I turn on the 24-hour heart rate tracking. I also have the auto detect for sleep tracking. It only works at night. It doesn't track your naps in between. So please take note that this only tracks your sleep at night. Another thing that I want to let you know is that I'm getting a ton of notifications on my watch. Obviously, I chat with a lot of people, and hopefully you have a lot of friends to chat with too. I mainly chat with my family members. I'm sure they're pissed at me. But yeah, I've got a lot of notifications coming in and they all come to the watch right away. Obviously, you still cannot respond to messages on the watch itself. This is just like a fitness band and not a full-fledged smartwatch where you can make phone calls or, respond to messages on the watch itself. Another thing that I need you to note is that I've got this always on display turned on, which you can see right here. So it is pretty good actually. It works very well, and you can actually set a time frame for when you want the always on display to actually turn on. And yeah, I've got it set for about 8 a.m. till 1 a.m. But yeah, the always on display works very well. I can just click it and you can see there is an analog version as well as a digital version, but I've used the digital version because it's just so much simpler to see the time at one glance. But what you need to know is that the original watch comes with a battery life of 14 days without the always on display. But once you turn on the always on display, it actually cuts the battery life down to 4 or 5 days. So please take that in mind. If you're okay with the kind of battery life that I'm getting with just 4 to 5 days, then you can turn on the always on display. Otherwise, I suggest you keep that off because the wrist movement detection is actually very strong on this Amazfit GTR Lite. As you just saw just now, a slight twist in the watch and the screen will just light up right away. So now that I'm talking about that screen, as always, Amazfit gives us really awesome displays, and this is no exception. So although we are just paying about $110 here for this watch, the display is a very nice AMOLED display that is clear, is very sharp, and has great contrast levels. Sorry about that misfocus. Yeah, so you can see that the blacks are very deep blacks, and it has very strong bright whites. So obviously there is also a couple of different kind of watch faces that you can find on the Amazfit app. So let me just launch that up very quickly for you guys to see it. So let's go into the Amazfit app and go into the Amazfit GTR Lite. So if I just click watch faces, you'll notice that I have so many kinds of watch faces here, and you can just sync this directly to the watch itself. It is just that straightforward. So at this moment, there is more than 50 watch faces right here. And yeah, you'll have a lot of fun like going through each and every one of them to just see which you like best. So obviously for me, I like this particular one the best because I do have like an analog like watch hands as well as the clock itself in digital. Very easy to see. I have my heart rate and everything all in one glance, and that's pretty good for me. All right, so obviously as you can see on my desk right now, I have a couple of watches here. I have the T-Rex. Woo, look at this guy, still looking slick as ever. Yeah, this is one of my favorites because it looks very much like the G-Shock. And of course, I have my all-time favorite Amazfit GTS with this custom watch face. Yeah, you can actually get like custom watch faces. There's an app that you can find that on Android only, not on iOS. Yeah, so the reason why these two are not on my wrist and the main guy is this GTR Lite is for a couple of reasons. First up, let me just start with comfort levels on each watch. So obviously this is a bit bulky. I can't have this on my wrist the entire day. I like how it looks rugged. The T-Rex looks great. But I think I've mentioned in my previous video that I don't like these straps because they get really sticky, especially when you go on runs. So these straps are not the best. And like I said, for me, I personally like wear my watch to sleep, and I don't really like the bulk of this on my wrist when I'm just sleeping because it's like pretty bulky. So obviously you want something slimmer, and then you might think, so why not go with the Amazfit GTS since it comes with that awesome watch face as well, right? Okay, so I really like this watch, but the look is a bit too minimalist. I know. I like the look of it as well. Trust me, like minimalistic is my kind of preference, of course. But okay, so sometimes when you go out, you go and meet your friends or whatever, you just want a watch that looks a bit more classic. So this is a great watch. Trust me on that. I mean, of course, the GPS has some issues. It's still a bit faulty at times, not too accurate, But the thing is that it feels great on my hand. It's really slim, but it just looks a bit too small and too simple right there. Just look at that. I mean, for certain occasions, yes, it is perfectly fine, but somehow I just want something in the middle between the GTS as well as the T-Rex, and here I have the GTR Lite. Yeah, so out of the three, I think this actually looks the best on my wrist. It feels great at night when I go to sleep, and it doesn't feel too bulky because if you notice, it's also pretty slim. So this sits right in the middle between the T-Rex and the GTS. So please hear me out. It's not that I hate the T-Rex or the GTS. I love all of them. It's just that I find that for a perfect everyday, every time kind of use, the GTR Lite is actually the one that I actually go to at the end of the day. Alright, so overall, in terms of tracking my fitness and blood pressure and all that, just so you know, the GTR Lite actually tracks very similar kind of activities compared to the T-Rex as well as the GTS. It does the few basic stuff like walking, running, swimming, and yeah, just the very basic set of activities that you usually expect to be tracked on a fitness tracker. Apart from that, the heart rate tracking is also very accurate. Obviously, the Amazfit watches has no issues with the heart rate tracking. Sometimes I realized that in previous software versions, they actually track your heart rate when the watch is actually like sitting flat on the table or something. But ever since the latest updates in firmwares, I don't actually have that anymore. So heart rate tracking is pretty accurate on the GTR Lite. I'm very happy with this. So far, comfort levels have been very positive as well. I love how these bands are, a bit like with these kind of designs, and they feel very comfortable. Out of all the straps, I must say that the straps on the GTR Lite is actually the best. The GTS ones is a bit too thick. Actually, if you notice, it's too thick, and it just doesn't feel that as good as the one on the GTR Lite. So overall, yeah, I'm not saying that I prefer one over the other, but for now, the one that's sitting on my hand the entire day is probably the GTR Lite. And yeah, the one thing that I do wish that came better with the GTR Lite was the battery life. So obviously, I wish that it lasted a bit longer with the always on display turned on. If it could hit a week, that would be perfect, but 4 to 5 days for now is still okay for me. Not the best, but yeah, I guess it's acceptable for now. Of course, I would also want the GPS module in here so I can, go for runs with more accurate location tracking. But I want to let you know, like once again, if you're the kind of person who, first of all, don't really run at all, then that shouldn't be too much of a problem. So, and if you're the kind of person who takes your smartphone along together with your runs, and I know a lot of you guys actually do that, then the lack of GPS actually isn't too much of an issue. So at the end of the day, you do save like 30 bucks, and if 30 bucks is just not that much for you, you can always go for the GTR, but otherwise, the GTR Lite is one heck of a smartwatch. I really like this smartwatch, and yeah, it's going to continue staying on my wrist. Let me put it on once more so you guys can see how it looked like. I'm sure you're very familiar with the GTR already, so yeah, there you go. So we have the GTR Lite here. Obviously, this is the version in English. Be sure not to get the Chinese version because you can't change the language. And yeah, if you have any questions regarding the GTR Lite or maybe the T-Rex and GTS for that matter, please feel free to leave any questions down in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!